No.
Hello and welcome to the 3inMidfield podcast, the podcast where three friends who had their dreams of being professional footballers dashed away as children when they all discovered food have their say on the Premier League. Coach,
Yo,
ever present -1. How you doing, sir?
damn it. I'm good, man. I'm good.
You know what? That title is not old yet. I like it.
You're enjoying it.
So who shout the guy who done it for us, please?
Yeah, the guy that what's his name? Footy for him. So you follow him, Footy for EM on Twitter. Great intro. He's done many on YouTube that you see. So shout him out. We're gonna tag him on this as well. Great guy. But yeah, I'm good. I did watch football on Monday. I didn't watch any on the weekend because I knew what was gonna happen this weekend. So I enjoyed Valentine's weekend. You know what I'm saying? No stress, no foul. But I'm good, man. What are you saying?
All good. Can't complain. 3 points. That's all that matters, right? But we are stacked. So we'll do the introduction straight away. Basil, returning guest. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, no, perfect time for me to return. It looks like Arsenal got a victory while other clubs are crumbling before my very eyes. So, there was a host of clubs that are talking about winning the league, and look where they are now. So, like I said, I'm just here to just enjoy like the house burn down with certain fans. So, yeah.
DJ Daps, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. Very good. I was going to say, when you were talking about the intro, I thought you meant your little intro.
Oh,
like,
no.
That was sensational, bruv. I could never say anything that quickly.
Oh, thank you. I've got 4 sets. How many years? 5 years of practice right now, isn't it? So there's that. The two Daniels. I don't know who to go on for. Maybe footballing hierarchy. I'm not sure. Who should I?
Bro, you have to go with BBC's finalists first. Like,
I realize I'm only here for diversity in terms of like, clubs across the table, because you see these types of podcasts, right? You guys get on like Chelsea fans, City fans. That's who everybody talks about. But I'm here because I'm a Villa fan, isn't it? That's what's going on.
Oh, that's what you meant by diversity. I was going to say I feel the same.
It's a double meaning. I guess, in a way. But
I feel for 2 reasons. One, that you're putting City up there with the rest of them, and secondly, that like you're not talking about like the colour of my skin. Because I feel.
Daniel,
there you have it. Yeah, I'm good. Not on to talk about a relegation battle though. That's what's positive as a Villa fan. So yeah, I can't lie. I'm still tired from the game this weekend. No one likes a 0-0, but that's where we're at. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for inviting me on.
Thank you for coming on. Daniel B, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Not too bad, man. Everything's positive. Looking good.
The internet's looking fine as well, because you struggle with that. So
trust me, bro. Until they fix it, and do you know what? Obviously, it's off topic, but it's touching 2 weeks now, and because of COVID, they're making excuses. So right now, it's a data thing, man. Unlimited data.
I hear that.
Them tethering stuff, all that good stuff. Anyway, we'll get into the games. Let's start with obviously the biggest result of the weekend. Arsenal. I'm only joking, guys. Don't worry about it. Leicester City 3, Liverpool 1. Goals from Mohamed Salah, James Maddison, Jamie Vardy, and Harvey Barnes. Coach, were you surprised by this victory?
I actually wasn't, because Liverpool have been poor defensively for a long time now. This isn't a new thing, and that's been with a fully fit or not fully fit squad. Daniel, we were talking to. But anyway, shout out Mike. But no, I wasn't surprised, because Leicester have been in good form this season. They've played well. I think they're actually playing better than they did last season, which is testament to, even though they did have the fall off towards the end of the season, I think overall the way they're playing this year is actually a lot more convincing. So they went into this game full of confidence. Maddison's back at his best. And Liverpool, I think they chose the wrong game to blood. I don't know, is it Kabak? Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
He had a nightmare. I don't know. We spoke last week about what's going on with Liverpool, but at this point, it's got to the point where I just don't know what the issue is. I just know that they're just not good enough right now. Bar Mo Salah, and that's what it is. So shout out Leicester because they deserved it from start to finish, even though the narrative is Liverpool dominated for 70 minutes, then they had a good 20. My narrative is if you concede 3 and you score 1 and you lose, you deserve to lose from start to finish, and that's how it goes.
Let's go back to the narrative. Obviously, the narrative is that they're missing a whole bunch of key players. Virgil van Dijk is not there.
Not having that.
Not having that.
Never we. Don't worry. Don't worry. Never we.
Listen, have you seen how many injuries Leicester have had this season?
Yes.
Hey, Daps, let me even because this was my little piece for my say. Look, let me give.
On the Liverpool side,
let me even give it to you. James Justin out until November. Ricardo Pereira missed 25 games. Dennis Pratt out until April. Dennis Amate missed 17 games. Cengiz Under missed 4 games. James Maddison missed 4 games. And Didi missed basically half the season. He's only recently come back. Vardy missed 8 games. Johnny Evans missed 8 games. Castagne, their new signing, has missed 18 games. Fofana's out for 5 weeks currently. And Soyuncu missed 18, so basically half the season as well. And they're the only team who have remained in the top 4 all season. And Liverpool, the champions, want to make excuses.
We're not allowed to
2 centre backs.
Leave off, man. Come on, man.
Listen, MDD to Leicester is like Van Dijk to Liverpool as well. Let me say that.
Literally.
So,
You're gonna say something? Go on.
I love the slander on Liverpool, but I said on Sunday, shout out to Leicester, the only team that want to give Manchester City a challenge this season. And that's how I feel at the moment. Like I got asked to pick my top 4 the other day. I put Leicester in there. Afterwards, everyone was saying they don't see them finishing in there. I do see they do drop some points they shouldn't be dropping. But when you look at their injuries, the way they performed this season makes me look back at the 5-2 loss at the Etihad and actually be not as ashamed as I was on the day, to be honest. Like, Leicester are a classy outfit, and Brendan Rodgers is doing a good job, man. Doing a good job. And Didi is just, but I can't say enough about Ndidi. And their fullbacks.
Let's talk about Leicester then, because they were, like Coach said, they got the 3 goals, so they deserve the win. Is Brendan Rodgers not getting the praise that some might say he doesn't, that he deserves for obviously keeping Leicester in the top 4 the entire season with that injury list? Daniel Raz.
Yeah, so I mean, this is an interesting one. I mean, for me, when I look at, I'm looking at Villa's like games ahead, and Leicester's one of them, and I'm just thinking, tactically, Brendan Rodgers has done a fantastic job to keep those guys playing. I've just heard Daniel Bamji obviously just put out a list of reasons about why Liverpool shouldn't be making excuses. Take nothing away from Leicester. Leicester have set themselves up in a way that it doesn't matter which of those players plays, Brendan Rodgers has them go out there and execute a plan. Sometimes it doesn't work, but most of the time it does. And I think the point is that those guys are all consistent. And I have to say, when Brendan Rodgers came back to Leicester, I think for a lot of people, it was like, come on, what's he really going to do? Didn't work out for him at Liverpool. He went away and did that thing where he did extremely well in Scotland, and often when managers do well at Celtic or Rangers, people always have that thing inside their head where it's like anybody could do it. But I think we're starting to see now that it's no fluke, all those trophies that Brendan Rodgers won over there, and if Leicester can go on and win the title, it would be amazing. Look, no offense, Daps, but I'd imagine that for most neutral supporters, it's going to be, they're going to be hopeful that kind of back and forth exists for the rest of the season.
I hear you. I hear you. I'm not mad at Leicester. I mean, I saw our February a lot of banana skins. We're doing all right at the moment, but if I pick out other banana skins in the season, Leicester's definitely one that Leicester get points against us regularly. Like, they're not a team that we beat regularly. So, and I do think you're right on Brendan Rodgers. I was just thinking when you were talking, early doors when he first got to Leicester, and when Arsenal got rid of
Emery,
he was linked with the Arsenal job, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
because we're talking about Brendan Rodgers this season, but if we go back, Brendan Rodgers last season was doing a good job. And the one thing I love about Leicester is, you know, they've created some great players, or not created. Let's not say create. They've found some great players, right? When they sell them, they replace them, and they replace them with more gems. They just seem to keep finding gems. Chilwell, my guys come in and just made everyone forget about Chilwell. Like, same with, I mean, Ndidi, he's come in, and right now, who would you have, Kante or Ndidi? It's
plausible.
Yeah, and like you just said, it's the way Brendan Rodgers has the system. The system's there, and the players. I mean, to be fair, Iheanacho, I didn't think much of him at City, but he's doing a job when Vardy's not playing. And yeah, I think you're right. I think Brendan Rodgers is going way below the radar, especially when you look at that injury list. Like,
and if I can even add to that, like shameless plug, me and my boy did an article on Brendan Rodgers, eyesontheball.co.uk, and basically what we highlighted was that the only reason why, the two reasons why he's not getting the credit that he deserves. One, it's been his own doing. It's not been anything outside of it. So you've got the intangibles where Liverpool hierarchy didn't really look great on camera. They did like some reality show and whatnot, and they didn't like the way he presented himself. I remember as well at Swansea, he did very well at Swansea, but there was a time I think they lost like 2-0 to Sunderland, and then he said something like the city of Sunderland should be privileged to see my Swansea team play. This is after losing 2-0. So stuff like that, like he just says things at the wrong time. Celtic as well, the way he left Celtic. So he's always rubbed people the wrong way. And
didn't he out Sterling in a bit of a
for the money thing that he left City for the money and should have stayed.
Something to do with in training as well, where he outed Sterling one time as well. He's outed Sterling a couple of times still. I do get what you mean on that. I've heard one or two other bad things about him as well, but I'm not, that's personal things, but I have heard that. But I think Brendan Rodgers, I think another thing, I don't want to move away from the pitch too much, but do you think the fact that he's ex-Liverpool and, he's not one of Liverpool's sweethearts as such? We all know that Liverpool have a lot of ex-players in the media. They are definitely the media sweethearts. Maybe that's why the media don't want to talk him up too much as well, because of the fact that his departure with Liverpool wasn't that great. So he's never gonna get the credit. But I think if it wasn't for that, he hadn't been there before, there'd be talk of him getting the Liverpool job if Klopp went.
You know what it is? That's from what you're talking about there. I think that's a thing that I think English fans in general. He hasn't got a fancy name, and I don't think we big up our British managers. I don't think we big them up.
I think we tried to, but we big up the wrong ones.
It's hard to big up. It's hard to big up. Like Sam Allardyce and all the other old names.
There's some fella from Bournemouth that's not there no more.
No. Like, think about it. Let's be honest. Like, Frank Lampard could easily get a job right now, even though he didn't really do. Like, he did the okay job, but he could easily get a low-end Premier League job right now with the CV that he has, which is terrible. Obviously, he got Chelsea, but he didn't do great. But he could easily get it. So it's like English managers have clout, but they don't have the reputation to match the clout. But Brendan Rodgers has that. He's got the reputation and he's got the.
Even when you think, if you look at, say, I'm really bad with names. One thing you need to know: Southampton's manager,
Arsenal.
So he's been talked up a lot this season, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I think he's a good manager. How organised they looked against us, sensational. But he's been talked up. So why is Brendan Rodgers not being talked up?
Do you think it's because Leicester are actually in the top four? That these guys, Hassan Hüttl, I'll put Sancho in there. They're at the clubs that might be a stepping stone for.
I take it completely different than everything that's been said. I think there's a reason why he doesn't get praise, and I think when you look at what he's done at the top level, he's shown, because he's been given chances. He's shown that he can't cross the finish line a bit. And what I mean by that is that you look at the job he did at Liverpool, where he should have won the league. He didn't win the league then, and the next season it sort of capitulated. He went to Celtic, and obviously Celtic were the Rangers weren't there.
Rangers weren't there, yeah.
And then when you look at his performances in Europe, in both the Champions League and Europa League with Celtic, he's done very badly with Celtic. And that's what you're really going to judge him for at Celtic. When you look at what Gerrard is doing, both domestically and in Europe, he's doing a fantastic job there. Then you look at what he did when he returned at Leicester. I thought Leicester for me was a perfect match for him. But then people forget he bottled the top 4 last season. So that shows you that when he needs to cross the finish line, he can't cross the finish line, which is why I think he doesn't get as much praise as he does. Whereas when you look at people like Hasselhutel, I think that's how you pronounce his name, because he hasn't managed at the higher level, at the levels that Rodgers has managed. At. People like, can he, can't he? So it's like there's a bit of an unknown that if he goes up there, can he step up? I think because we've seen Rodgers perform at that high level and not quite close it, I think that's the reason why people are skeptical to give him his praise.
I think
even this season, it's still uncertain whether Leicester will finich top 4 because of what they did last.
Yeah,
no, definitely.
And that is when I picked my top 4 the other day. I put Chelsea, I put City, United, Liverpool, Leicester, and straight away everyone came in saying, nah, not like everyone else said, not Leicester. They took Leicester out, and I kind of sat there thinking, I'm going by at the moment, but I do know that's because of I see Leicester when they play one of the top 6 teams, they usually come alive, but then they do have that habit of dropping points against the lesser teams. And you're probably right. If you're not going to get someone over the line, you don't deserve no credit. You can have a great, the season's 38 games.
I mean, you expect.
No, go on.
I say I expect. So you said that you put Leicester in there. Let's ask the question: are Liverpool going to get top 4, considering their injuries to Van Dijk and the current form of their goalkeeper?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to be a brave man to say they won't finish in the top 4.
I don't think they will.
Yeah.
You don't.
Nah, because there's no confidence. There's not when you play, you have to trust, especially when you're going for trust the defense and your goalkeeper. Alisson, the reason why he's behaving a bit erratic is because he doesn't trust the defense.
Yeah.
And there's no creativity in midfield too, so they're heavily relying on the front 3. People have figured out that front 3, how to nullify them. And I've said this many times over. I said, when people figure out how to nullify that front 3, Liverpool are left exposed because there's no creativity in that midfield. The way that midfield functions is to facilitate the front 3 being free and scoring the goals. When you now have to rely on your midfield to now do a job of now creating the goals, they don't have it in them. And so you look at the midfield, the defense, and the goalkeeper, it's not working anymore because the front 3 aren't doing what they're doing over the past 2-3 seasons. So I'm saying that I don't think they will find their rhythm from now to the end of the season because
When's Jota back?
Who? Jota, I think probably end of this month.
He's important to them. He's very important to them.
Well, yeah, he is because, I mean, I've always said, even when they got the injuries, I said the only time I feel like they'll really struggle is if they lose the front 3. But the issue is Salah's the only one of the front 3 that's in form. Firmino's not in form. Obviously, he's had 1 or 2 lovely assists, but in terms of scoring goals, he's not applying himself too tough. And Mane has had a nightmare of a season. He's not anywhere near the levels that we've seen him before. It can happen. So when it comes to Salah, you can obviously he's a top goal scorer, so you can sort of depend on his goals. But then at the back, they are very weak defensively. So I see what Basil's saying, and I'm not gonna lie to you. The one thing they don't need is within 3 games when the gap to go from 2 points to about 7 or 8, because that's when it becomes troublesome. Because Chelsea right now are having a good bounce, and I don't feel like they're gonna drop points.
I don't believe they've hit form yet. I don't believe Chelsea have hit form yet as well. I think they're just gears at the moment. Two shells just getting used to it. I think when they hit form.
That's what I'm saying. So if they manage to just get through results bit by bit, then they're looking kind of good for top 4. Let's start doing their thing. Obviously, Basil pointed out also that, because of last season, you can't particularly say that, yes, they will make it because that full-off could happen. And even United are not even certainties. No matter what people say about United and Bruno and whatever, United could easily drop points elsewhere like they did against West Brom and against Sheffield United this season and not make top 4. So it will be very foolish to obviously write them off. But I'm basing that off everyone else being as inconsistent bar one team. So
I'll tell you this, Roger. The reason why especially over the last 2 weeks, I think they'll fall off is because there's a difference when maybe you have to worry about one or maybe two teams in the top four. But the way the season's going, you're having to worry about four teams because Everton, if they win their games, are above Liverpool, I believe. Same with Villa. And I'm not saying that those teams are fortunate for, but you also have to worry about the results those teams are getting too because you're in that mix. And so you no longer have to worry about maybe it's just one team ahead of me. There's 3 or 4 teams around in that mix too. So maybe the results for 3 or 4 other teams, I think it becomes a bit dangerous when you don't have your rhythm.
I think it's a bit crazy. Like, you know, there's quite a lot of teams around there, as you say. But I still think Liverpool are very well equipped to be dealing with that. Yeah. Like, you know, you're looking around, and the teams in around are like West Ham, Everton, Villa. And then you got to get through Chelsea, you got to get through Leicester. But Liverpool is still very well equipped. Like, you know, coming to the end of the season, look, they've had a tough few games. Brighton look ridiculous at the moment. They just ain't conceding goals. Yeah. You know, they had Leicester. They had, was it Man City just before that? Yeah. You know, those things can happen. Those teams are going to punish you if you don't have that good a defense. But look, Merseyside derby, get a good result there. Then you got Fulham, Sheffield United. Those are potential points. And if Salah and Mane start scoring in those, you just never know. That Liverpool side can come alive.
And you know what it is.
So, quick question for you guys. So if Liverpool lose against Everton, would your opinion change of Liverpool? Or would you still think the same thing?
I'm seeing it with Liverpool. Like I said on Sunday when someone asked me about Liverpool and where I think they'll finish. I see their next 2 or 3 games as so vital because, like, all they need is one win. Let's be 100. One win, they bounce back, right? Like, there's been a massive dominoes effect there. However much I love the Liverpool slander, and I'm the cheerleader of that, the fact is you cannot go from as good as they have been for the last 2 years to this, right? There's so many things. I mean, I know when we played Fernandinho as part of a centre-back pairing, right? It's not the fact you're playing him as a pairing. It's the fact you no longer have that player playing in his position. Like, Fernandinho has been, for me, one of the most important players over the last 10 years at Manchester City, right? Same with Henderson. No matter whether you want to slander him or not, he's a very important player. You take him out of that role and you put him as part of the centre-back. It's not whether he's doing the role well as a centre-back. It's the fact you don't have him doing that role anymore that he used to. So all of a sudden, the 2 they brought in, or Van Dijk comes back, because we don't know. I've heard Van Dijk's been back in training for months, right? We don't know when he'll come back, but if they sort out 1 or 2 of the centre-backs and then they get 1 or 2 wins, they'll be back. They will be back. I keep saying, I don't rule out Liverpool flipping pressing on in the Champions League still. Like, they've got it in them. Like,
do you know what it is, yeah? Depths, with what you're saying. And the thing I liken it to is back in school, yeah, when we did, like, I don't know if you guys did, well, the guys from London anyway, did 8QA papers. So GCSE is called 8QA, EdXL, all those kind of things. And the way that it all worked was when you did an exam, when a year group did an exam, and let's say a lot of people hit a top mark. So let's say Liverpool, Man City hit a top mark. Like, they set the bar. So they basically said, this is the bar, this is the pass mark for everyone, and you need to get that bar. When everyone starts dropping, that bar then slowly comes down because they realize it's way too high for everyone to achieve it, like to basically achieve. And that's what's happened with Liverpool. Because that bar that they set, they no longer can hit that bar. They've now come down into the middle of the pack and they've realized, wow, we're actually on the same level playing field as everyone else. And that's the problem I have with Liverpool. The sustainability. The bar that they set wasn't sustainable. And that's what we're finding right now. Like, it just wasn't sustainable. And I was even a victim of this because I used to fight for Klopp. I used to say his system is impenetrable. You put Shaqiri, you put Minamino, you put Origi. These guys still perform. But you're finding now this season, clearly, his system isn't foolproof. Like, it is that there are holes in it because, come on, man, people are telling me the reason why Liverpool aren't scoring goals is because Van Dijk's not there to switch the play. Are you being serious? Like, come on, let's be serious.
It's really, man, it's important though, man. Like, the Liverpool, the play starts from the back. Because look, here's the thing.
I know, but
bro, they need those guys pressing on pressing on, right? You're not letting the other team have time in your own half. Like that's such a hard job. Those centre backs have the hardest job in the world. You're playing in
I get
the
you, but,
gegenpressing system.
no, but I get you. But my point is, okay, cool. This is where I'm gonna wrap it up from on my side with Liverpool. When Liverpool were winning and playing at their best, they said Mane, Salah, Fabinho, Van Dijk, Trent, Robertson, and Alisson were world class. So 7 of their 11 players in the starting lineup are world class players. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
That rarely ever happens to have 7. And we as fans, you know what? Because you're the champions and you won the league at a canter, we're not even going to argue with you. We're not going to argue with you. We're going to say cool.
Yeah,
how many players have been missing? Let's say Van Dijk has been missing and Trent here and there, but yeah, you've had 6 world-class players basically available to you for practically the whole season. If you want to give Mane a bit of slack because he had COVID, then fair enough, 5.5. If you have 5.5 world-class players, how many teams in the league, bar Man City, have even 3 world-class players in their starting lineup?
You see when we played Liverpool, they had 10 of their 11 players that started the game have won the Champions League.
There you go.
9 of them with them. But I think with what you was talking about there, the whole style of play, the Klopp meant the philosophy and whatever, what I think we all of us will have said over the years is we've been praising how they've managed to avoid injuries, right? I think we've all said it at some point. How have they managed to avoid injuries? But when you play that style of football for that long, right, it will impact you. It will. I mean, I don't doubt Vincent Kompany, it happened to him because of that, right? And there's that, but then also a lot has to be said about, like, we won the league, and when we won the league, we looked sensational. The second year, when we retained it, I think it was very hard. Retaining it for a third year, right? Pep said at the beginning of the season, trying to motivate these players to go again for the third time is hard. And I kind of said last season, when Liverpool looked like they were going to win the league, I started saying that I could see Mane and Salah wanting to leave. I said, they're not from England. Like, however much people like to claim certain players support their club, they don't, okay, right? They've done the Champions League with you. They've done the Premier League with you, right? They're 28, 29. They're either going to want a bumper pay rise, or they'll just leave and go and win something elsewhere because they like to win, right? And I feel like this season, them two, maybe, I've heard a few things, but they're pushing for a pay rise, right? Liverpool aren't putting it on the table, and the next minute they lose some points. It's a dominoes effect. They lose 1 or 2 games. Klopp starts maybe talking differently to certain players in the changing room to how he usually would. Next minute, they get the offer they want on the table. And I think everything with Liverpool, unfortunately, it's just like it's just all erupted at the same time, and they just need to get hold of it. I do believe they do have the ability to still make the top 4, though. With Salah,
a team that can't offer them that pay rise is Tottenham, because they're just a horrible team. They lost 3-0 to Manchester City.
What a segue!
Sensational.
Let's go back to you, Daps. Obviously 3-0 win. You're top of the league. 2 questions. One, how important or how much of a blessing has Ruben Dias been? And 2, did you see Gundogan playing like this ever?
Do you know, I've got some clips from our pod I could show you at the beginning of this season, and I just look like such an idiot. The last time we bought a centre back from Portugal was Mangala. Yeah, I mean, Ruben Dias. I wasn't. The reason why I was a bit unsure was I really wanted Koundé, right? And I just watched Koundé for Seville against Bayern. Pocket Lewandowski, thought we were getting him. Next morning, here we're getting Ruben Dias. So I was throwing my toys out the pram. Then I watched his first interview, and the guy's mentality and the way he was speaking was just, I was like, oh my God. Like, because I always praise Bernardo Silva. I think Bruno Fernandes is the same. Ronaldo has really, really taught this generation of Portuguese players that winning is everything. Like, that's all they want to do. They just want to win every single game. And Ruben Diaz has, like, someone asked me the other day about player of the season, and I said I'm not going to put Ruben Diaz because maybe the team around him and maybe the fact he wasn't here for the first few games. But he's changed everything at Manchester City. The whole confidence of the whole team. John Stones is now playing like the John Stones of Everton. Like, he can play football again because he's confident with the guy he's got behind him. Even down to, I've been unsure on Rodri until this season. But that was because I felt we needed more of a, I always say Nigel de Jong, right, an enforcer. I felt we needed that enforcer. The reason we needed an enforcer was because our defenders behind him weren't doing the job. All of a sudden, Ruben Diaz comes in. We no longer need that enforcer. We can have a Rodri that can play football. And now he's looking better. Gundogan, everyone, even the fullbacks, Zinchenko, Cancelo, they're being able to play basically as defensive midfielders, all because Ruben Diaz, everyone in the team is confident of Ruben Diaz. Like, that is how it is. As for Gundogan, not a chance. I felt, I mean, at the beginning of the season, I was a bit like 2019, this time of the year, 2019, Mr. Whippy was sensational. He carried us over the line the season we beat Liverpool. But then since then, he's been a bit hit and miss, not really doing much. But this year, my God.
Staps. On a podcast yesterday, they asked us, and I wanted to know your thoughts on this. Do you think Gundogan's having the same impact on this year's Man City team, who we believe will win the title, that Yaya Toure did when you won the title in 13-14? I think it was 13-14 anyway.
I mean, right. So in answer to that, he is having the same impact, completely different way, but same impact, yeah, because he's. Whereas that season, Yaya was literally picking up the ball and running it like 100 yards and putting it in the bottom corner. Gundogan is just hitting the box at the right times. Like, he's making the runs. He's, I mean, he's an intelligent footballer. He's the reason he was Pep's first signing, and there's a reason when a player was Pep's first signing, and he was injured when Pep signed him as well.
Yeah.
And Pep still said we have to get this player. Like, the guy's an intelligent footballer, but the goals, no one saw the goals. I didn't see the goals. The goals are just, I can't answer it. It's a phenomenon, to be frank. Like, it's not Yaya, it's not Lampard style. It's just a guy. It's just, yeah. I'm all for it, though. All for it. I'm more of a Bernardo Silva fan. I'm a big fan of, and I said at the beginning of this season, if we're going to stick with Rodri, we have to have. If we're going to stick with the Rodri Gundogan, we have to have Bernardo Silva next to them for his energy. If we don't have those legs, and it's a. I'm still trying to get used to the way that City's playing this year. It's very different. But the biggest thing for us at the moment, to be frank, is the fact that Man United want to hand it to us on a plate. That is. I was worried about February. I was worried about us dropping points. We've come into February and. Well, we're not dropping points. United are dropping points left, right, and centre. And I've said they're not going to win nothing under Oli, and I believe that they're not going to win a single thing under Oli. We spoke about earlier. The guy doesn't know how to get them over the line. I'm sorry, but he doesn't. He's a great man manager. He can manage plays. He's kept that squad happy. Sensational. But he's like if we go back and look at the games, Leipzig. What was that team selection? Right.
Wait. Let's just stay at City before I get stressed again. Let's stay with City.
Do you know what? I sometimes I just like when it comes to City, I like watching the game. I like smiling to myself, having a drink, and just thinking, yeah, I'm very quiet until about this time of the year, every year, because I don't talk too soon, right? But I do now feel I can say it with chest. We're going to win the league, and that's because no one else wants to win it. No one else wants to win it. Like, Leicester want to win it, but I think maybe they're a bit too far back. The other guys, they've just handed it to us. This isn't the best City team we've ever seen.
I mean, Tottenham fans were quite chesty when they believed that they were going to win the league, but now it looks like they're going to lose both their key players, Heung-min Son and Harry Kane. Do you expect them to leave at the end of the season, Raz?
Me?
Yeah.
Raz. No one's ever called me Raz before.
Raz.
That's funny. That's cool. It's all right. It's all right. It's a new one. It's a new one, man. I'll take it. No. Harry Kane and no, it's not Dele Alli anymore. Who did you say? Harry Kane and who else? Son. I can't speak for whether or not they're going to leave at the end of the season, but since Mourinho's come to Tottenham, we've been waiting for that explosion, haven't we? Been waiting for that boom when this Tottenham team, who have probably their best strike force in however long, I mean, since I could ever remember, in Son and Kane, their best attack. We've been waiting for them to do that march, but there's something about that team that they lack compared to Manchester United, Manchester City, and Liverpool, and even Chelsea to some degree. And I'm not sure what that is. Whether that's spending power, whether that's the fact that they maybe haven't been able to make the same sort of transfers that the other sides have, I don't know. But I don't ever feel like Harry Kane's going to leave Tottenham. I've never ever felt confident that Kane's going to leave. There is potential there. It's just that every single season we have that restart where we think now's the time. Unfortunately, this season is the season where everybody else has decided to wake up. This is the season when West Ham have woken up. It's the season when Villa, Everton have all woken up. What are Tottenham supposed to do? They can't steamroll the season. It's hard.
I think what it is that you have to remember with Tottenham, there's a lot of things, man. I mean, first of all, sacking Pochettino, bringing in Mourinho was always going to be a short-term fix in the eyes of everyone. Short-term fixes never go well in football, especially if you don't if they don't win that League Cup. I don't know where they're winning another trophy from. That's one thing. You look at the stadium. We just seen the Arsene Wenger video on beIN Sport where he said because of moving stadiums, he had to sell a star player basically every single summer. Tottenham are in that kind of same predicament, and COVID couldn't have come at a worse time for them. They're not even going couldn't have come at a worse time, and this is not even because I don't think they would have gone through the same struggles as Arsenal because there's so much money in football, like TV and all of that. That's what Arsenal missed out on.
And Tottenham have put all of their hopes on the NFL, Anthony Joshua fighting there, all these different things that they think they're going to generate money from. And right now,
can't do that.
It's generating a penny. I think Levy is a bit poisonous for them, I don't know if any of you watched that Amazon thing, right? But I mentioned this, and I'm on a Tottenham podcast after this, and I'm going to talk about this a bit. When Danny Rose had his meeting with Jose, and he says, "I'm going to speak to Daniel about this," right? What's a player telling the manager he's going to speak to the chairman of the club? How's the chairman even got that relationship with players that they can go to a manager and tell the manager, "I'm going to go above your head and speak to your boss"?
Imagine Kepa being like, "I'm going to go chat to Roman."
Just like getting past the bodyguards. But I just think, how's Daniel Levy got that? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen at probably any of our clubs where a player is going to tell the manager, "I'm going to go over your head and speak to your boss." So when I saw that, I thought, what? But when you said that Tottenham was saying it with chest, that Tottenham only ever say it with chest until December. Come on, man. I'm sorry. I spend a lot of time defending Tottenham against Arsenal fans, but it's kind of getting to the point now. I can't defend them no more. They're just. I think Jose. I feel sorry for Jose because when I saw him on Sky before he got back into a job, he'd gone back to being that likable Jose because he turned into kind of a bit of a bitter old man at Man United, and then that time off, he seemed refreshed and he seemed like that at first at Tottenham, but now any day, he's already starting to have those meltdowns. Any day,
I'd even prefer him as a pundit because he provides sense to the Sky Sports panel. He actually does.
Guys,
yeah.
What did you say?
Guys, we're talking about Jose Mourinho. Let's not talk about this guy as if he's some sort of finished off old manager. This is Jose Mourinho.
No, but
Come on.
Dan, you're talking to the biggest Mourinho fan there is. Ask Kojo and Cahill, they know. I am the biggest Jose Mourinho defender. But the point is, when you're being hired as a short-term fix, it is always forget football now. Let's even talk about in the world of work. If you are hired on a short-term basis, it means that there are plans that are beyond you. Like, you're not the long-term solution that this organization is thinking. They're just thinking, we need to paper over this crap for now and then figure out what we're going to do after. The problem is Tottenham don't have that afterthought plan. They're just thinking, we need to win a trophy by all means in this period. Go on.
Sorry, no, I'm just like this. No, I'm looking at this from the point of view. Look, I'm not having a go, but I see a lot of fans of big teams here, and there's fans generally want things quickly. They want things quickly, right? Personally, I've seen so far. You look at Manchester City, look at Leicester, look at Liverpool. All the teams that are doing well right now. Liverpool are to some degree still doing okay, right? They're just in a right. They've been there long term, and I understand what you're saying about Mourinho. If it is a short term fix, then okay, it's not going to work out, right?
But we know the history of Jose, don't we? We know the history that he always wins straight away, and then by the time it hits the first season, it's a wrap. Everything's crumbled.
Isn't that the point then? That if Tottenham, because under their previous management, we've been, I've said this God knows how many times, I'm sure everyone's heard it, about the painful rebuild. You don't go for someone when you need to rebuild. You don't go for someone to become a short-term fix. You have to go and look long-term.
How do we know it's not long-term? That's my point.
That's the thing. We do know. Kojo, this is my point, and this is what people always overlook. Pochettino in the Champions League preview said, "This team is not good enough after this year. If we win the Champions League, I'm leaving," because he already knew that this team wasn't good enough. He probably stayed just out of the loyalty and the love that he had for the club. And it turned to nonsense. And they put him on. Daniel Levy didn't even show the same loyalty that he showed and put him on the fam. He said it. He said, we need about 10 new players to come and revamp this squad. No one listened. And everyone has ignored this in the analysis of Tottenham. This squad is not good enough. Ask any single Tottenham fan. They will tell you, there's about, when you have 12 players who need to leave your team, you have a problem. Yeah, you have an issue,
and this is why. Like, every time people talk about Mourinho, I always bring it back to the squad because I'm like, listen, right now it's not even about. I know it is about the manager. The manager has to do what he can to make the best of a bad situation. But we've seen when Tottenham play defensive football, they get a goal and then they sit back, or they score 2 and they sit back. It either goes one of two ways: they win or they lose. Fantastic. One way or another, you have a winning. But recently, it's been losses. But even when they attack, they still leak so much because that defense can't be trusted. Apart from Alderweireld, who I've given credit to in the past, he's just gone at the end of his powers now, so he's not the same anymore. But the rest of them either haven't improved or have gotten worse. They haven't improved, Davinson Sanchez, gotten worse, Eric Dyer, which is even scary thinking about it because he wasn't even that great in the first place. So when you have that problem, it kind of drives you it probably drives Jose insane at the fact that he went and saw his team score 4 goals and still lose. That's a problem because now you're like, okay, so if we go attacking, we score 4 goals, but we concede 5. And if we defend, we score, but we can't keep the lead. What the hell am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like,
one thing at Tottenham as well is, like we know with Jose, when he joined United, I kind of said, look, I feel like you boys, United, before the show, we were speaking about my thoughts on Man United, the history of Man United. I feel Man United have been spoiled, right? Because they've for many, many years, and let's forget the last maybe 8 years, but before that, they've won pretty much everything, but playing nice football, right? No one can knock the football they played either, right? They played nice football, right? Jose came in, so then you had your Moyes era, your whatever his name is, the other guy.
Van Gaal.
Van Gaal. And then when Jose came in, I said, look, you'll probably win something now. You're going to win something. But the fact is, you're sacrificing your style of football. You're like, And this is a problem that because Man United fans are used to, whereas you can go to a team like Chelsea, no disrespect to Chelsea back when Jose joined them or anything, but you can go to a team like that and they don't really mind what style of football you play. Because like same with City, when Mancini came in. We're not too bothered about that because we've never won nothing. So trophies are trophies, right? But with Man United, it was like, you have to give them both. You can't go there, think winning stuff's going to keep them happy. It will keep them happy for a very short period of time. Then they're going to want nice football, right? They'd rather wait a little bit longer and play nice football and then win. With Tottenham, I feel like Tottenham are even worse because Tottenham now know Jose's past. So Tottenham fans, when I was speaking to them, were like, if he comes in and we win the league, okay. But if we don't win the league, not acceptable. And now the backlash I'm beginning to see is exactly that. They're like, no, we're not accepting this style of football if we're not getting trophies. Like, we'll accept it if we're getting trophies. And now, like, earlier in the season, I would have said they might have won the League Cup. If they turn up like that against us in the League Cup, like they did at the weekend, they're not winning the League Cup. Like, they're not winning that. Simple.
Yeah, I think you need to understand why he was brought in. But he came in at the very wrong time when players were on the decline. Ultimately, he was there because when you think about why Pochettino was, why Levy got rid of Pochettino, why brought Mourinho, it was really and truly to change the mentality of the players. Because Tottenham have always had good players and good squads over the years, but the mentality, they've never ever had like a winning mentality.
Yeah.
And I think even Mourinho at United, even though the football was horrible, they still won trophies. And I think he came in saying, you're going to be here for maybe like 2-3 years, just to change the mentality of the players, get them in a winning mentality, win maybe a trophy or two, and then you've done your job. We can now bring in someone who we can start to plan and build around long term. And I think what Mourinho's come in, he's realised, I can't do that with these copper players. He's even thinking, no one can save this copper players. It's like, they're just not mentally, they're fragile. Mentally, they're weak, and these guys do not have a winning mentality, and there's no one that can save these players. So I think what we're seeing now from Mourinho, he's making a point. He's basically making a point with the style, with the setup, with some of his team selections, with the players that he's isolating from the first team. He's basically making a point to say, like, listen, I've tried my best with these guys. It's not working. So Levi, look what's happening. Is either you do one or two things. You pay me off, because he doesn't even have like a proper exit clause. It's literally, if he leaves, they have to pay him a whole bunch of money for him and his guys to leave. So either it's like, listen, pay me off and get rid of me, or you have to properly invest in the squad if you want to get anything out of it. And I think Mourinho's resigned to the fact that you can't do anything with these players, and the best is what you're going to get. And even to go back to your question, MK, I don't think Kane's going anywhere. I think he's there for a very long time. I think Son is probably the one that's going to leave, because I think he's got one more year after this season on his contract, and I think he's riding out this season to see what happens with Tottenham, and he's probably going to look for a big move in the summer, or if not in January, the same way Eriksen did.
Same age. He's at that age where he needs that final big paycheck.
Yeah. Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Aston Villa 0. Not exactly the best result to bring you in on, but then again, to say Aston Villa have really surprised a few people. Let's go through it. What was it? Was it the transfers? Because obviously, going from a team that just survived relegation, and we're very lucky if VR was working that day, they wouldn't have survived relegation.
Don't give me this. I'm not having it. I'm actually not having it.
Potential European football. What's been the driving force behind that?
You sure you don't want me to give you a minute by minute breakdown of the Brighton game?
No, we good there. We good. Let's go.
No, I mean, what's going well this season is, we've got a progressive manager who, we're talking about long-term plans. Dean Smith came in, and we're seeing the team just get built upon. This is his team. We had the struggle last season because we had so many players to replace, and thankfully, by the skin of our teeth, stayed up. Right now, this season has been kind of right. Let's advance. These owners, you got to understand, these owners want success at Villa. They want Villa in Europe. Now, are Villa ready for Europa League, Champions League right now? I don't know. I don't think so. We haven't quite got the squad for it yet. But what we've seen is the starting 11. The starting 11 is looking pretty good. And And it is the transfers. You know, the transfers from the first season we came up, they struggled at first, but they're playing very well right now. You've got Douglas Luiz, who's looking brilliant. Ezri Konsa, who, listen, this guy's one of the best English centre-backs around right now. You know, don't be surprised to see him get called up to England. You've got...
Yeah, he must get a call-up. At the very least, he must be getting a call-up, surely.
Yeah, hopefully. And now, now this season's transfers just seem to bed in right away, right? Like Matty Cash bedded in straight away. He's looking brilliant. Injured now, but, hopefully won't be for too long. Ollie Watkins has came in. He's done a fantastic job, apart from, he had a slight run without a goal, but he's back now. He's back firing. And yeah, I think this is a progressive team with a progressive manager that's buying into a style of play. It's a very rigid style of play, which doesn't change much. And that's why sometimes Villa don't do as well as they can in games. But it is what it is. This is the way that a team kind of improves. And this is, the best you can hope for in a chaotic season. I think you look at like Sheffield United last season and how well they did. Do you model yourself on that? Probably not. You've got to have something that you can sustain. And that's what I hope for, really. There's all this talk about Jack Grealish. Where's he going to go? Who's going to take him? But really, I see him bedding in and just kind of, the team being built around him.
Let's talk about him because he recently signed a new contract as well.
Yeah. It was a few months ago. Yeah, he's a 5-year deal.
5-year deal. So I don't think he's going anywhere. I mean,
he's not for life, in my opinion.
Villa aren't going to sell for unless maybe like 150 million probably for that.
You know what? I was going to say, I'm kind of on this whole Grealish thing. I hear so much talk about him leaving, right? And look, yeah, there's a chance he'll leave. No one knows. But the fact is, if you look at him, right? So he supports Villa. He's come up through the Villa Academy, right? He loves Villa, yeah. And he got you up. He's got the armbands, right? His place for England is cemented, right? Like he's on the plane, whether there's a plane or not, or a coach or whatever, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, he's got to be. He has to be. And then you've given him a new contract. Hopefully, he's being paid kind of what he expects to be paid. I'm not saying he will stay, but then the final thing is that Villa are progressing. Like whether you finish in the top 4 or the top 6 or not, you are progressing. Like so, if you look at all those things. I'm not saying he will stay, but there's definitely reasons for him to not leave. Like, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. Of course, if he's only on 120 bags a week and someone offers him 250, his head might be turned. Like, we all would turn our heads for that. But I do think there's a, and I was going to say hats off that when you were talking about all the positives, you actually didn't mention Grealish, which is.
It's not about him. It's not.
It actually moves back to the first question we got asked about Brendan Rodgers, Aston Villa's manager. We're not really talking too tough about him neither.
No, that's for a reason. I don't want him getting picked off by England. But another perfect situation there. You don't talk about this very often either. Dean Smith's a Villa fan. We've got a Brummy Aston Villa fan as manager. Like that's almost perfect. Brummy captain, Brummy manager. That's brilliant. But yeah, look, I don't think Villa are going to finish top 6. I don't, because I still think there's a lot of cracks that need to be papered over. There's still a few things to iron out. But what I will say is I like the attitude. Barkley's kicking bottles when he gets taken off. Grealish is, looking mad if he gets substituted. Yeah, I like that. I haven't seen that for a long time. You're used to players kind of going off and that's it. It is what it is. These guys, we ain't happy with losing. And, whether or not they're there yet, I'm liking the attitude. Yeah.
Where are you finishing then? Where do you think you're finishing?
9th, 10th, I think I'll be happy with 8th. Wow. I'll be happy with 8th. I think I'll be very, very happy with 8th.
And even where you've been.
Yeah. Yeah, but look, we had our scalp. We broke Liverpool. That's fine. No. Look, whatever it is, we're progressing. Look, we nearly got relegated last season. We can't ask for too much. We've been up there. We've been hanging about, but there are things that need to improve. That squad depth isn't there yet, and whatever happens in the summer, they'll strengthen again. And I think that's the main thing. Just keep improving, keep on making those improvements, and don't be happy with it. Do you know what I mean?
But honestly, listen, if you guys need players, we've got the likes of Nini. You can take off our hand.
Brilliant depth.
We'll drive those players.
Listen, man, we like our Egyptians, man. We got Trezeguet, we got El Mohammadi. I wouldn't put it past us.
Another thing I wanted to touch on with Villa, because I don't know. I've said it to someone else, and they said, "Oh, we don't really know enough," and you're right, we don't. But you might, because you're a Villa fan. How much of an impact is John Terry having on your defence?
Do you know what? At first, people like last season, there was a lot of talk about Villa's defence making a lot of mistakes. They were making a lot of mistakes, a lot of just getting run over, and people were saying, "What's John Terry doing? What's he actually doing?" But to his credit, this season, and even after COVID at the end of last season, seeing Mings and Konza and now even Matty Target, Cash now as well, just getting themselves in front of the ball. When Villa get attacked, they get teams like really throwing the pressure on them some days. Some days they just don't have the ball.
Against that, really good. You're really
say that again, sorry.
You're really good against that.
Yeah, and so it's that near post defending. That's what John Terry was good at. Getting in front of the ball.
Do you know what's
I wonder
crazy?
if that's him.
Do you know what's crazy?
It failed.
Nah.
R.I.P. Sanchez.
I hear that, but do you know what's crazy for me as well? Having spent 4 years in Nottingham, so I followed. I used to watch the games weekly in it, so I followed Matty Cash for a long time, and he was actually a winger at first. So he came up through the youth ranks as a winger, played as a winger in the team, and then he got converted by I've forgotten the manager's name. He got sacked last because they didn't get promoted, but he converted him to a right back, and that's where he took off, because in January there was interest. I don't know if you lot remember, there was interest from AC Milan to take him from Nottingham Forest. And he was basically the best player at Nottingham Forest. Everyone said he was going to get them promoted, and he would have commanded a bigger fee than what they grabbed him for. So I just think his progression. That's why, just a little shout out for him. I just think his progression is great.
Whoever that coach was, that manager was that converted him.
Yeah.
Klopp needs to give him a shout for Trent, because he needs converting back to being a defender, doesn't he?
Hey, Daps, I always knew I'd like you, I always knew
I mean, that's the question as well. And even with Trent, I mean, a lot of people are saying the conversion is for him to become a centre mid, but even then, I'm not sure, because he's in the top 3 in terms of losing possession in the history of the Prem. So he has the top 3 performances of losing possession. He's the top 3, first, second, and third. So I just don't know. He gives the ball away a lot. I know he plays extravagant balls, which will increase that, but at the same time, boy.
Daniel, you know what you've just done, yeah? You've created new podcast content for me and Kale.
Go check it out. He's got the top 3
in the Premier League. Top 3 in the Premier League. I've got that. Yeah.
Let's go from one disappointing defender to another. Manchester United 1, West Brom 1, Harry Maguire. I'm on it today. I don't know why. It's
Captain El Capo. El Capitano.
Let me jump in there to give Kojo some respite, because I know he's still grieving.
Thank you. That's so thoughtful.
I was listening to Gary Neville, right? And he gave a piece which everyone was agreeing with, which I completely disagreed with completely. He went, Lindelof is a good defender. Right? And I think Kojo thinks this. I think he thinks he's a good defender too, from what I've heard in the past. And I sat there and I was like, no, because as a defender, you need to have specific basics that you need that should be in your game week in, week out. Lindelof for me is weak. His awareness isn't great. Players are running off him with ease. He's not quick. So for me, it's if you're not quick, position yourself properly. And I think his positioning sometimes isn't always great. Now, obviously, he did mention that maybe that's because he's partnering the likes of Maguire, so you can't trust Maguire as much to put himself in a certain position. But I see so many flaws in Lindelof's game, but him and Maguire just as bad as each other. And the fact for me, his physicality is the biggest problem for me. That as a centre back, there is nowhere as a centre back we should allow other strikers to shove you off the ball on a regular basis. And I see it too often with Lindelof. And I sit there and I was like, what are they doing at Manchester United that no one has put him in a gym routine just to bulk up or strengthen up at minimum? I mean, people complain about the first goal and say it's a foul. I just see it that it's just a defender being weak. I didn't see it as a foul. I saw it as a defender being weak. Maguire gets let off the hook every single time because his defending is absolutely atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. And if people think him talking in that defense or him being a so-called leader, lets him off the hook, they're having a laugh. I
don't think Maguire's listened to him no more. I don't think they listen to him. I don't think he's respected by some of them players there anymore.
He's not. And everything. People say like he should be like one of the first names on the plane. I can make the case for Maguire not being selected for that England squad considering his performances this season and last season.
Do you know what? In all fairness, though, right? With United, I look at that United team and I look at you look at teams that do well defensively. Would you not just say that defense has very little defensive cover?
Exactly.
You know,
well, they do. They do. But
in fairness.
But the thing is, and I think Gary made the point that even when you spoke about Rio and Vidic at times had Carragher scores in front of them as a 2 rather than 1 and then 2 in front of them as the defensive midfielder, they still did their job. Yeah. And what it is defensive cover is one thing, and I agree with it. The defensive cover we have apparently is quite poor, but they fail as centre backs at their primary objective, and that's the biggest issue. Basil, what you said about Lindelof, the reason why I liked what he said is because when he got to the point where he said of Lindelof's problem is Maguire, Maguire's problem is Lindelof, it's like he went on to then talk about why Lindelof is such a burden to that defense. Maguire, sorry, is such a burden to the defense more than Lindelof, because with Lindelof, he said at least the reason why he thinks he's a good player because on the ball, yes, the technical skills are to a good level. They're not exceptional, but they're to a good level. But on top of that, at least on the ground, he reads the game well, and he tends to do the thing where you want your defender to usher your opponent away from the goal more than towards the goal. That's a key thing, so that it makes it harder for them to score. Whereas with Maguire, it's so simple to get at him. And the thing I've always said about Maguire is, you are in life, you're either blessed with pace or you're not. You're blessed with agility or you're not. You can work on him a bit, but you won't go from super slow to Lionel Messi speed. It won't happen. Yeah. But at least maximize the things that you are good at and use that as your primary base to defend, and then I can get on to you being a good defender for those things. He doesn't maximize those things.
Kojo, do you think, I'm gonna be like you're gonna disagree with me, innit? But I genuinely don't think Maguire's a bad defender or a bad player. What I would say though is that the captaincy is a burden on him. He needs to concentrate on his own game. You know, when you're the captain, as in on the football pitch, people underrate what the captain actually. Look at what Henderson does at Liverpool. Look at what Fernandinho even does for Man City. Like these things, bro, the captain needs to organize everything on the pitch. He's the manager's voice. Yeah, he's literally the manager's voice now. And my point is, if you give Maguire a defender who is capable of being the captain and allow Maguire to work on his own game and let him just be a defender and just concentrate on being that, you unlock him. You'll get the best out of him. That's not honest.
Yeah, but you see, Dan, there's no leadership in that team. Leadership in that team.
And that's the problem.
There is. Listen, that is. I feel like we've got telepathy there, or telepathic. Sorry, there. Because I was going to say the exact thing that. I'm not saying that if they take the armband off him, he'll come alive. I would just like to see one season of Maguire without the armband, right? And it's not. I don't feel like it's kind of putting him down. I actually think probably this summer, with everything that was going on, Ollie did it because he thought he had to stick with him. But Bruno Fernandes has been calling for that armband, man. The mentality of Bruno Fernandes, is there. Let him have the armband and let Maguire go back to basics and practice the art of defending, right? And I do think, look, you can't go from being rated as an £80 million defender to not knowing how to defend. Like, it can't happen. Like, it can't happen. So I think you're bang on. You take that armband away from him, you might unlock a good defender.
Look at the cases of where we've seen the armband be. I mean, it doesn't always happen, but literally the point you made, you can't go. Obviously, yeah, we said it, he was overpriced, but he genuinely deserved that move because of how well he played for Leicester, and he deserved that move. Let's even look at Xhaka at Arsenal. I mean, he got the armband taken away from him in different circumstances, but really and truly, even though Arsenal aren't in the best of form, is Xhaka really the getting the same blame he was getting when he was captain? I think he doesn't. He's allowed to play his game now. Do you know what I'm saying? And no, I honestly believe he's played better as non-captain than when he was captain. Like, I think there's been clear.
Slightly.
It's not just on the pitch, but I think the pressure that being captain puts on a man is a lot, like mentally. Right, yeah. And also we spoke. Kojo agreed with me earlier that I don't think many of the players necessarily respect him. I think a lot of the United players probably know who should have the armband, so that's probably impacting him as well. But they're isolated and whatever.
Sorry to cut off, but this is the reason why I don't have sympathies, because when he came to the club, the whole club had to talk about the team and the players was vocal about. He was vocal about the management. Was vocal about it. They had a discussion as to who they think should be the next captain of the team. And he put himself forward. They said he put himself forward, and they were happy to give him the captaincy because De Gea didn't want it after the whole thing with Mourinho, and never did Pogba, because we all know how United fans feel about him and what happened with Mourinho also. Yeah. So he put himself forward, and he said, "When armband." Now, if you put yourself forward, you say the armband, you have to understand the responsibility that comes with it, because I've said this. If it's me, I'm not a big time player, but if I was in that dressing room, whether I was a squad player, impact sub, whatever, but I had my career at the club at United before he was there, I'm not going to look at a leader of someone who, whether it's him or you want to look at it as a team thing, someone that's had 4 relegations in their career. That's part of his career, but that's what happened. So I won't look at him as someone as a leader. Nor would I look at him as a leader because he wasn't a leader or captain at his previous club at Leicester. Leicester are a bigger team than Hull. So when you take that step up and you're not looked at as a leader in that team, I can't look at you and come and say, you can be leader of me at Manchester United. Yeah. So I don't have that sort of sympathy for him. But that's why I like Daniel saying that he should improve on it, because that's what I want. If you are a limited footballer, improve on the things that you're really good at, and then everything else, whether you're blessed with it or not, you can't help. Physical attributes are what they are. You can't be blessed with pace all the time. I'm not flipping fast. If I was fast, I would have ran myself off of school, so I'm doing Usain Bolt levels. It is what it is. Like,
I just what you're saying, because I kind of disagree with the captaincy burden. I think it's about systems, and when you move to a big club, it's a different type of approach, and that's when you have to rely more on your abilities more. Because the way Leicester set up, it was suited for someone. Leicester sort of the defense didn't move much. Now they did the midfield. They had like 2 holding midfielders. So the way they set up was to counter-attack teams. And so for me, it's much easier to defend when you have that protection around you and you don't have to do much movement but operate in a certain area. When you go to a bigger club, the football there is more progressive. So sometimes there's gaps which are left open where, as a defender, you have to show that you have the ability to cope in certain situations and pressures. And I think that is where the likes of Maguire is failing, is that he's just been left exposed at United, where it's a different type of football. You now have to raise your games and levels a bit. And unfortunately, it's too many games I've seen it. Even the game against West Brom where, what's his name? I think Diagne, I think that's his name, where he shoved him off the ball and should have scored that goal. That's basic elementary defending, but I shouldn't be seeing from a player defending for Manchester United. And things like that I've seen far too often. And if I'm seeing it just in the weekend, I'm sorry, there's no hope for him, unfortunately. I can't even say it's a thing of the captaincy is a burden. The captaincy is a burden. That's just basic defending you expect at an elite level for a player playing for Manchester United. And I've seen that one too many times, and I don't think that's going to change. And that's just down to you're not good enough to operate at a level of Manchester United. Leicester and below, maybe that's your level, but at United, you've been found wanting too many times.
Here's a quick shout, right? Sorry. Quick shout, right? Just to put it out there, right? David Alaba is leaving Bayern Munich at the end of the season. Is he the perfect guy to come into that Man United defense if these are the attributes we're looking at?
400 bags a week, I'm hearing.
I don't. Well, to be honest, what are we paying? How many players? I mean, Phil Jones is on how much?
Yeah, I don't know if money's an issue.
Henderson hadn't played a game for Man United. He got 180k a week contract for 5 years. So at this point, if we complain about Alaba for 400k, then we're just hypocrites. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. But
Henderson's on 180.
Brother, if I continue, we'll be in big trouble. But on the game, yep, I agree. Lindelof was pathetic in that for that goal. Should have been stronger. Should have anticipated it. Should have attacked the header rather than stand there and wait for the ball to come to him. And Bruno Fernandes scored a lovely goal. Nicely taken volley. Apart from that, Martial, same old. Rashford, same old. Rest of the team, same old. Man United, same old.
I think we'll wrap it up there. Arsenal.
Quickly, Kojo, I want to have a show, whether it be on our platform or your platform, where we can just talk City and United, because I think
let's do. Trust me.
I've been talking about Man United for a long time, and you seem like the type of United fan that I could talk to about Man United without it being taken that I'm just a hater. Because let me be clear, I'm not a hater of Man United. I just get frustrated with the putting up with mediocrity.
Don't worry, bro. We'll do it, and whichever platform it is, I'm happy to do it, bro. I'm good. Let's just get on it because I'm ready.
Putting up with mediocrity. Arsenal Football Club 4-2.
Okay, before you continue, I'll say that this is probably the best I've seen Arsenal play. But maybe when we conceded 2 goals, probably the best I've seen Arsenal play under Arteta. In fairness, so I'll add that.
Well, no, that was the question I was going to ask you. That was for me as well. That was personally the best I've seen Arteta's Arsenal play. Is it enough to make you a believer though, Basil? Because you haven't quite believed from the very beginning. So let's answer that question.
Do you know what? Do you know what it is? Not really, because my biggest issue with Arsenal, right, under Arteta is that I can't see us going on like a run of maybe 5 or 6 games and getting victory. Obviously, next we've got City next on Sunday, which is going to be difficult. But I don't see us winning that, so I've written that game off. But I think I'd like to see for me to believe in Arteta. I like there to be a period where I feel confident that we can win maybe 5, 6, 7 games on the bounce. Because even when Arsenal win, I always fear that there's another draw, another defeat just around the corner. Because I still don't think we impose ourselves well in games. And I was very surprised at the way we played at Leeds and how well we played. That shocked me. I wasn't expecting it, and that should tell you something. So we can put in that performance. Obviously, forget the City game, but the games after City, we can revert back to type and be passive and be slow, and the players not have a clue what they're doing on the pitch. So, like I said, do you know, this season's a write-off. I'll see. I'm intrigued to see what happens next season under Arteta. I think that for me would be where I can give the final assessment as to where Arsenal are going under him, whether we're going to do well or whether it's not going to work out. So I'm giving him a pass for this season just because I think we know where we're at. But then we'll see what happens next season. But like I said, credit where credit is due. I like to give credit to people when they do well. We did very well against the Leeds tactically and in the approach. Approach that game against Leeds. So credit to him and credit to the players in that.
I feel like all the credit this year has been going to Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe. Odegaard even played well yesterday. But we'll get... obviously, the criticism was laid heavy at Aubameyang's feet. And because, obviously, he held such a high standard. So it's great to see him back in form. Is this the game? Can you see him going on from there? Or is it just the fact that he might just hit another summon? This season might be a write-off for him personally, as well as Arsenal.
Basil.
Yeah, I'll say this in regards to I don't think so. People are saying, "Oh, he's back," but every player has like one game where they do well. I don't think he's going to find his rhythm. I think he's still going to struggle come the season. I don't think anything's changed with Arsenal. I don't think anything's really changed with him. I think it was just one of those games where it was like the West Brom game. One of those games where Arsenal were firing and we had a good day. I think come City, he's not going to do anything. And then come probably the game after that, he's probably not going to do anything. Because the Leeds left so much space for him to exploit and score those goals. Other teams are not going to give Aubameyang as much time and space as he did in that game. So
yeah, facts.
It was a great hat trick though. He took it really well, at least. I mean, it's a good bounce back. We know
And then as a keeper, they play a part.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, yeah. But at the end of the day, for me, at the end of the day, as a striker, when the chance comes to you, you gotta try and apply yourself in the best way possible. He did it. He did it at the end of the day, innit? Obviously, he's been through a lot, especially with his mother and that. So it's good to see him like he's back to. It looks like mentally he's back to where he wants to be. Yeah. It looks like it so far. This is a great way to start. Get goals, score a hat trick. So yeah, it's a good shout. But yeah, you're right. It has to continue. If it doesn't continue, it's a waste of time.
We shall finish on Chelsea's 2-0 victory over Newcastle United. Timo Werner finally. How many games was that now, Daniel? Was it 14 games? Goal drought?
Bro, I lost count as well. I know it was over 1,000 minutes, something like that. Crazy. But do you know what? Look, this is what I keep saying. Actually, do you know what? Ask your question and then I'll feed it.
No, go for it, man. Go for it.
No, the point I was making about Chelsea is that, look, Timo Werner, yeah, the reason why I didn't put him in the same category as the Moratas and the Torres is because performance level, you can see if a player is playing well, but it's just not coming off for him. You don't go from being third top highest goal scorer in Europe, and goal contributions as well after Lewandowski and Ronaldo, to them being a bum. That just doesn't happen. And I even find it interesting that even being considered this flop, he has 10 goals and 10 assists and has arguably had a better season than Mane, Martial, and some of the other wingers who have been considered to be the best in the Premier League. That means there's levels to get to. And this is the reason why I personally haven't given up on him. I think a lot of the management didn't help in terms of the way he was being utilized. I think that the difference you're seeing is he's not specifically a winger under Tuchel. He's being allowed to come off the left. It just makes sense, innit? Tactically, it makes more sense how he's being utilized. Lampard had him literally sitting on the wing as a left winger, rather than now he's a tucked in now, playing closer to the striker. And if you remember, under Lampard, he'd be in crossing positions from far wide. But now under Tuchel, he's in crossing positions from where Hazard would normally cut it back into the box. And that's where I'd rather see him there than see him trying to cross it from like the corner flag with his left foot. Do you know what I'm saying? But he deserved it, man. He started the game well, started the game positively. He was our best player for the first 30 minutes. He missed 2 chances where you thought maybe an informed Timo would have scored. And people forget that goal he scored against Southampton goes under people's mind. That was a fully confident, a top quality, let it go through his legs, cut in, and then runs into the box and then shoots it across the keeper. Like that was a guy who looked primed with confidence. And that's why I have a lot of faith in him, man. I do think he'll come good. He'll definitely come good.
I think just one quick point to add to what Daniel said. I think the only thing you need to be wary of in regards to Timo Werner, watching him, it seems like he reminds me a bit of the likes of Vardy in terms of that. I don't think naturally he's a clinical striker. He's like a confident striker. That when he's full of confidence, that's when he finishes his goal. When the confidence is down and you just have to rely on maybe just your natural instincts in front of goal, I don't see that with Werner. But I look at how he's taken some of his chances, and it just seems like a player that is not confident that when I hit this is going into the back of the net. So I think there is that worry with Werner that he can go on a run, but it is like when his confidence is down, back run can quickly come to an end and we can have another drought as we've had in this season. But I agree with everything you said in regards to his utilisation and how Lampard used him, because it was criminal the way Lampard used him down the wing.
And I think that's important though, goal droughts, the thing with the striker in the Premier League now as well, defenses are so much more advanced. Like so many of the top sides have, worked on just systems and systems. You don't see those managers anymore who just tell the boys to go out there and just do whatever, right? So it is going to be difficult for him to come to the Premier League and start banging in goals. I don't remember the last the last striker that came from abroad and just started banging in goals for fun. It's hard. It's difficult.
Yeah,
sorry?
I'd say
a couple of years ago though. It's a couple of years ago.
Look at the smile. Look at the smile on Basil's face.
And even him,
West Ham fan. Look at
and even Aubameyang, he's been played a little bit differently this season, and he's struggled. But look, the thing is for me with Chelsea is that whatever happened earlier on in the season, it is what it is. I don't mean this as an insult to Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard did a very good job at Derby, and he'll go to another club and he'll do well.
Yeah.
Thomas Tuchel is more experienced than Frank Lampard at that level, and he knows how to manage those players better. So when it comes to Timo Werner,
just even to add to that, what you need to remember now is look at squad utilization. The problem Lampard had, he had he had too many unhappy players. It's all well and good having maybe one or two, but when you have about 5-6 players who are unhappy at the club and who are big players, big personalities, you're going to struggle as an inexperienced manager.
Yeah, it's true. You know, because they're going to be thinking, what's this guy know about? Know about how good I am. Do you know what I mean? Like,
the funny thing is, even
big players.
It reminds me of when Daniel Sturridge was talking about when AVB came at the club, and it was the same thing he said. He said like he had like maybe the right ideas, but then it's like the players didn't respect him enough because they're like he's more or less the same age as me. We've been here longer. How can you talk to me in a certain way, or how am I not playing, or how can you isolate me in the manner that you're isolating me? And it's the same thing with Lampard. Lampard was part of the squad when ABB came in. So he should have been fully aware of that. I think probably Lampard came in, but I'm Frank Lampard, top goal scorer here, Champions League winner. And he thought that would have hold over players. But players are selfish. They don't care about all of that. It's about how can I benefit? How can I get from this? And if you're not giving me the exact things I want, I'm going to, you're not going to, the attitude that you're not going to get a friendly version of me. You're not going to get a version of me that wants to help you out because unfortunately you just don't do it for me. And I think Lampard, even looking at some of the things he says in the press conferences, or even when they lost matches, and he'll say they weren't running, they didn't do the basics. I think he came in a bit naive when he came into the club at Chelsea, thinking that I hold weight and I have a bit more power than he actually had. And I think in the end, it went against him.
I say this all the time about Chelsea as well. Like, there was a lot of complaints. I even spoke to one of the athletic journalists, and he basically broke it down to me in terms of the things that got revealed. Roman has a reason for controlling the squad the way that he does. Lampard wanted control, like a lot of managers do when they come to Chelsea. They want control. They want to do this. But Roman has a reason for being in charge of the squad and having Marina dictate what the manager gets. And the reason for that is because when the last manager to have full control of transfers and decide who to buy and who to sell was Jose Mourinho when we won the league the last time. And what happened there? Cool, we got good investment on Diego Costa. But at the end of the day, Mourinho sanctioned the sales of Salah, De Bruyne, and Lukaku for a combined fee of 57 million. 57 million pounds for those 3 players. The Chelsea board aren't looking at it like during them times we didn't have inflated transfer fees. That is talent, that cost in today's market 250 million pounds easily in that region. So I don't blame Roman for having such control over the squad. You've just got to do what you need to do on the pitch as a manager and get the best out of your squad. And the only way you can do that is if you're tactically foolproof. And Tuchel is clearly more experienced as a tactician than Lampard. And it's obviously showing right now in the form. And we haven't even hit top gear yet. I'm waiting for us to slap a team. And we're winning. I don't think we won 4 games in a row under Lampard. We had an unbeaten spell, but I don't think we won 4 games in a row. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing continuity, beating teams comfortably, efficiency. When we face Man United now, that's going to be the real test. And we'll see if we've really changed or if it's a new manager bounce.
We're not the test. Don't worry. Look somewhere else, man. We're not the test.
I think we should wrap it up there. I just want to thank all you guys for joining us this evening. Daniel... I don't want to call you Raz anymore. I don't know who you
can call me Daniel, man. You can call me Daniel. This calm, man.
No, we'll know. We actually know.
Daniel, where can they find you?
Listen, my Twitter is right there at Raza Journal. Follow me on there. And if you want to see a lot of ranting about Villa on match day, that's where it's at. If you're online at 2 a.m., I'm probably talking about wrestling. But either way, give us a follow.
Daniel, where can they find you?
As seen on screen, Daniel Bamji, for all my tweets, all my comments, all my banter. And then obviously for my football content, Eyes on the Ball TV, you can catch us there, man, just doing our thing.
I also like to say, if you have not heard the track that they used for the intro, go and hear that banger. You will be skanking in front of your screen. Time. Banger.
Basil, where can they find you?
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no, you can find me on my personal social at BJacobs14. sometimes happy days of being Arsenal, sometimes not so happy days of being Arsenal. And also as part of the 3 team at FSN Cup too.
Coach, where can they find Daps? Because unfortunately his internet cut off.
Yeah, so I forgot he's at his full. So let me just change it. Let me just check it right now. Here we go. Yeah, so it's at DJ Daps the host on Twitter, and his own podcast is at Never a Foul. Really good guys, really good show. So go check them out. Go subscribe to them as well.
Coach, where can they find us?
You can find us right here on YouTube, obviously. 3inMidfield podcast. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud. 3inMidfield. Come check us out, like and listen and subscribe. All that good stuff.
This has been another episode of the 3inMidfield podcast. Good night.
And I should have the exit ready by.
Why don't you, bro? Why don't you?
I don't know. We're gonna get it up.